Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Today we're going to be taking a look at the event that is an event, but not really, because it's mostly focused on playing the game as per usual, but just a lot more than what you're probably used to. This is the Producer's Cup. Now, what exactly is the Producer's Cup? The Producer's Cup, or P-Cup for short, is a biannual ranking event in Idolmaster Shiny Colors, taking place every anniversary, usually around April, and half anniversary around October, except for the very first P-Cup, which took place during the 2019 Valentine's event. Now, during this ranking event, you gather fans for your idols in produce modes and work booths. You'll be ranked for the corresponding idol in accordance to the number of fans earned during the ranking period, and it offers rewards such as training tickets as well as event titles. Now, as for the ranking tiers and titles, there are 4. The lowest is the Bronze, which is at the top 3,000, Silver for the top 1,000, Gold for the top 100, and Platinum for the top 10. Notably, the Platinum titles actually have a little extra incentive. The top 10 are actually labeled individually, so if you reach that high, it will be shown on the title that you earn as well. The little extra incentive to flex on people. Now, which produce mode should you be running? Could it be Grad, TFD, Landing Point? No. That's right, you choose Wing. The first game mode of Shiny happens to be the best game mode for the Producer's Cup. Let's go over why. So, why exactly should you pick Wing for Producer Cup runs? Well, every produce mode has different objectives and mechanics in play. Starting from the latest, we have Landing Point, which features songs that can be mastered by leveling them up with proficiencies, and Fest Tour abilities and bonuses at rewards at certain levels. Grad has an emphasis on insight tokens, which can be used to acquire Grad abilities and perform in PR for stats and fans. Thanks Flapping Day requires your idol to fill up notebooks by gathering ideas throughout the seasons in order to gain affection and stat bonuses. Lastly, Wing is the go-to because it has the heaviest focus on auditions, a method that will grant you the most fans in the shortest time frame compared to the other 3 modes. Now, as for the auditions and ranking system in Wing, the rank of an idol depends on the number of fans they have. There are some other ways to raise that rank, but it really only happens at the end of the run, so it doesn't matter for this part. Upon reaching the required amount of fans, the idol gets promoted to a higher rank, and new auditions become available as a result. Auditions are a vital part of the Wing campaign. Passing them grants your idol a great amount of fans, allowing her to promote to the higher ranks much faster than with just work or lessons. Each season also has a fan requirement you have to meet at the end in order to continue the run. In Season 1, you need to reach E rank, or 1,000 fans or higher. Season 2 is D rank, 10,000 fans or higher. Season 3, C rank, 50,000 fans or higher. And Season 4, B rank, 100,000 fans or higher. There's also A rank, which requires 500,000 fans or more, and S rank, which is 1 million or more. So how many fans can you gain from participating in Wing? Well, the most optimal route, if you successfully clear all the auditions, can net you up to about 2.3 million fans within around 15 to 30 minutes per run, depending of course on your internet speed, your browser's quality, the overall performance of your computer or tablet or your phone, as well as just how well the run actually went. So, in Season 1, you want to just do anything that can get you 1,000 fans. Ideally, the radio show, the talk shows, or the photo shoots. And if you have some extra weeks and are really close, you can take lessons, though the amount of fans you earn from lessons are very small. In Season 2, you can really just kind of do whatever you want, as long as you reach 10,000 fans by the end, so you'll participate in the 10,000 fan audition at least once. In Season 3, you'll be taking on the 40,000 fan audition once at the beginning, and then the rest of the season focuses on the 50,000 fan audition. This should have you at about 400,000 fans if everything goes according to plan. In Season 4, you'll participate in The Legend for 100,000 fans once, then follow it up with the 200,000 fan audition 3 times, and wrap things up with the 300,000 fan audition 4 times. As for the prelims and finals, win or lose, it's really up to you. You will get all of the fans that you earned previously, but if you want that extra 15,000, you get 5,000 for winning the prelim, and 10,000 for winning the final. So, what are some things you can do to prepare before the Producer's Cup happens? Well, you can get fluent in Wing auditions and practice Wing a lot. You can farm up EX skills to improve your produce and support cards. You can complete Idle Road to upgrade your produce rares to produce SSRs, which is very recommended. You can build up your support card lineup to help make things easier for yourself. If you are a paying player, you can check out the Tsubasa Pass, which is optional, but pretty well recommended. You can set up work booths to earn fans, as well as save up muffins to use for boosts. You can do time-limited events and save up recovery sodas to recover your stamina when you need to. You can study past Producers Cup borderlines and set your own goals. You can make time for the ranking event, of course, and have preparations to stay active as long as you physically can. And of course, make sure to choose the idols that you want to rank for before the cup starts. So starting things off, we have practicing Wing. Practice, of course, makes perfect. Getting familiar with the entire Wing campaign and how to deal with every trending scenario of each audition is the very first step. Once you learn how to do S-rank runs consistently and master all the auditions, you'll be able to earn an optimal amount of fans per Wing run, anywhere from 2 to 2.3 million. You can visit the following page at the Shiny Colors Wiki to learn more about every audition and its AI rival behaviors for every kind of trend. This is vital for understanding Season 3 and Season 4 especially, so I definitely check it out if you're a little bit curious. EX skills. EX skills are given randomly at the end of every produce run, with 4 different rarities divided between all 25 idols as well as their produce and support cards, so there's a lot. You have Bronze rarity, which is common, Silver uncommon, Gold is rare, and Rainbow extremely rare. The higher the rarity, the more effective the EX skill is. Now, if you have a lot of the lower tier or mid tier, you can exchange 10 of them to get an upgraded version of it. So if you have 10 bronze, you can turn that into 1 silver, 10 silver to 1 gold, 10 gold to 1 rainbow. The higher rank your idol reaches at the end of a produce run, the more EX skills you get, especially higher quality ones. So make sure to save up those EX skills from producing idols and exchange them for better ones to help improve your runs. So which EX skills should you use? For your produce cards, it's recommended to use the bonus SP. This will allow you to earn more abilities and passives that'll make the run much more comfier. Otherwise, you can opt for bonus mental or bonus base stats. They're great options because you'll be doing more auditions and less lessons during your wing runs, so having that little extra bump to your stats is always appreciated. For the supports, your main 5 want to focus on raising either their base stats, either single, dual, or triple, in order to help improve their appeal strength, boosting the idol's bond, which will also help increase their strength depending on how high their bond is, and there's also support event Commu Up, which can help you earn stats. Similar rules apply to the guest. Since your guest support won't be partaking in auditions, lesson or work EX skills as well as support and idol's bond and event Commu Up will absolutely help. Now, Idle Road, promoting your produce rares and to produce SSRs. The reason for this is because they are fantastic for modes like this, because they have access to a 2.5, 3.0, and 3.5 when fully maxed out. These are all very easy appeals to use. There's one other reason why you would want to pick them up, and we'll talk about that in a second. By completing Idle Road missions for an idol, you can transform that idol's produce rare into a produce SSR, upgrading the card's skills at the same time and increasing its max affection level from 3 to 5. Now, Idle Road Produce SSRs are great alternatives to run in Producers Cup if you're lacking other gacha Produce SSRs or do not have them at 4 stars. The 3 and 3.5 vanilla appeals and plus 125 to stat uncaps provide you with enough firepower to win most of the auditions, especially in Season 3. Also notable is the fact that Produce SSRs from Idle Road do not have special commus, unlike Produce SRs and SSRs from the gacha or from other events. This means that there are actually less cutscenes for you to sit through, which can save you a few seconds per run, which can add up a lot over time. Support card options. Since you'll be doing a lot of auditions for your wing runs, supports with the skill Audition Mastery, or Audimos, will be a great help in your produce team. By taking first place in Audition, your idol will gain bonus stats, essentially turning auditions into lessons while still farming fans. Listed below are the support cards with Audition Mastery. The 2 SSRs on the right, Fuyuko and Rinze, are in the Gradefest coin shop, and they offer both Audition Mastery for Mental and SP, making them both invaluable as well as the most accessible Audition Mastery cards you can get in the game. I highly recommend getting them before they expire from the shop. Fuyuko will be disappearing around February, Rinze is a little later. But you have options for Vocal, Dance, Visual, Mental, and plenty of options for SP. However many you have, and for whichever stat's best for you, take them along as you see fit. Other support card options. Besides Audition Mastery, there are also many other supports you can make use of. Generally, you should choose supports that have high vocal, dance, or visual stats and have appeals higher than the usual 2.5 multiplier. This is why in the Shiny review we emphasize support cards that have scaling appeals, because they're very helpful for modes like Wing. Now, skill trees of the support should also be taken into consideration. Here are some of the suggestions below, and you can find plenty more on the Boom app guide, which is available over at imas-shinycolors.boom-app.wiki. And I'll have a link to that in the description as well. The secret notepads as well as the Tsubasa Pass. If you are having a hard time memorizing all the commu choices for your idols, then we recommend picking up the Secret Notebook as one of your 2 produce items. Or consider purchasing the monthly Tsubasa Pass, which gets you a guaranteed notebook, as well as have 2 open item slots as opposed to the usual 1. This costs you around 480 yen or around 400 Vana coins, so it all depends on what you're willing to throw in for Shiny Colors. Taking up the notepad will be extremely helpful in Producer's Cup, especially if you're attempting to rank for multiple idols all at the same time. Mixing up all the commus can be rough, but thankfully the notebook is there to help assist you. Work slots. Each work slot can be assigned a job with up to 5 support idols. The same slot cannot contain multiple cards of the same idol, and a specific card can only be assigned to 1 slot at a time. This means that if you want to optimize it for one character, you need to have 3 separate support cards that can be placed into each of the 3 slots. Sending a card to work does not affect its availability for other purposes such as any produced mode, and any fans gained will not be accounted during the rest window, which we'll get to. You can unlock up to 3 work slots, with the first being free. The second costs 100 paid gems, and the third costs 300 paid gems. Now, the handmade refreshments, or you may hear them as muffins, are items that can be used to increase the rewards and fans gain from work, up to 50 per work slot. You can also convert stamina into muffins, at the cost of 10 stamina per muffin. Now, setting your own goals. After you're familiar and confident in your wing runs, the next thing you'll need to do is study the previous results and borderlines in previous ranking events. The popularity of every idol and the power level of produce and support cards are subject to change whenever, really. And that can actually be a huge factor as to how hard a certain tier may end up being. However, studying the past data will allow yourself to familiarize on how the rankings operate during the event itself. A very convenient Twitter, known as Petra, posts a lot of P-Cup ranking reports, analysis, and algorithm-based prediction charts. I'll have a link to that in the description as well, and it's very useful in order to see exactly what might be happening during the Produce Cup, as well as what's actually happening. So you can plan ahead to see if you need to focus particularly hard during certain days, or if you feel like you're lagging behind some of your peers and need to pick up the pace. So, setting time, of course, for yourself and other preparations. You need to be realistic in your own goals, let's be real. Based on your abilities, resources, and limits, this could be either the worst event in the world or the best. Setting off some time for yourself during the Producer's Cup period will help you better plan your play schedule. Ideally, if you're planning to do your best, or trying to rank top 100 for some of the more popular characters, so Madoka, Asahi, Toru, Mono, and many others, you should be doing all you can to refrain from going out, which is a little sad to say. Since Shiny Colors is a browser game best played on your computer, or technically iPad, and due to its gameplay nature, it's a very hands-on game with almost no automated gameplay, besides auto mode for auditions, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Stocking up on food, snacks, and of course them gamer juices like Monster will be a pretty good idea prior to the start of Producer's Cup. Calling on food deliveries during Producer's Cup is also very much a norm for the players going for top 10. Can't exactly waste any time cooking food. So, as of course a disclaimer, please take good care of your own health during the ranking event. Understand that your body has limits. Your health and well-being are much more important than some number determined by a game. I'm telling you right now. You can work as hard as you want, but you have a life to live. Don't harm yourself over this game, please. Now, as to choosing an idol to rank for in the Producer's Cup. As you can see here, we have a listing from the 3.5 anniversary showing the most popular characters featuring Madoka, Asahi, and Toru as the top 3, but also characters like Fuyuko, Mono, Rinzai, and Yuika right up there as well. Some of the least popular characters from the 3.5 anniversary included Sakuya, Mikoto, Kogane, Juri, and Mei, mostly because their cards were relatively on the weaker end at the time. However, I think once Mikoto gets a new SSR, that rank will probably change a lot. We may see more of Mei as well. So because of this, there are bound to be idols that are maybe too popular or too overwhelming for some of you to rank for. However, if you don't care about that and want to do it anyway, then just do it. If you're a Madoka P and you see that crazy border, go for it. If you're an Asahi P, go for it. If you see that Sakuya isn't doing so well, find a way to climb to the top. Prove to them that that's what you want to do. Just do it. Ranking for all 25 idols is also humanly possible. At least up to the silver rank, so the top 1,000. Usually this is within maybe a couple million fans. So even if you say just did maybe 2 to 3 runs of say like 1 million fans here and there for each character, and then focused on maybe 1 or 2, you could find yourself at the top 1,000 for every character, if that's what you want to do. It's flexible. Even if the rewards themselves don't feel necessarily that satisfying, it is something that is totally possible. Just enjoy the ranking event in your own way, any way that you want, is really the essence of it all. If you don't enjoy it, then you don't have to interface with it. But I feel like if you're watching the video this far, you probably care at least a little bit. So now we're on to the tips and advice section. So some recommended devices, selecting your rest window, some recommended produce items, your memory levels as well as morning commus, scoring appeals during auditions, bookmarking certain web pages, and we also have some options such as routes, certain auditions to pay attention for, as well as events and functions that can affect the Producer's Cup run. Starting off, recommended devices and settings. The most optimal way to play P-Cup is commonly used by the top 10s is whatever the latest model is of iPad, because the accessibility to a touchscreen, as well as the fact that iPads load content like this very quickly, it's a lot faster than clicking and dragging with the mouse. If you're playing on a mobile device such as an iPad or iPhone, then play Shiny Colors in the specialized game browser app known as Skyleap, popular with Granblue Fantasy. In Skyleap, you can make use of URL shortcuts and enjoy a more optimized browser game experience overall. If your device is prone to overheating, whether it's your phone, your tablet, or your laptop, then you might want to consider playing with a secondary one as well. Touchscreen laptops and gaming PCs are also great recommendations depending on the situation. Having a smooth and fast internet connection also contributes to faster wing runs with minimal latency. Naturally, because the servers are in Japan, many overseas players are going to struggle with connecting to servers sometimes, especially when the traffic is high, so just do what you can based on where you're at. Now, selecting your rest window. This is actually probably one of the most important aspects for it in general. Starting from the 2nd anniversary Producers Cup onwards, players are allowed to choose their own preferred rest period of 6 hours, which we talk about as rest windows. Meaning, every player across the globe, even outside of Japan, can compete equally, regardless of time zones. Prior to this, I believe during the 1.5 anniversary, they introduced the rest window, but it was only one set time. This means that for most players, especially overseas, they had to adhere to whatever the rest time was for Japan, which usually meant that you had to rest during the middle of the day if you're in the United States, for example, making it much harder to actively pursue any sort of high rank without completely changing your schedule entirely. The adjustment to the rest window helped solve that issue. Now, do note that you're only allowed to assign your own rest window period during the first day, until about 11:55 JST, so it's recommended that you do it right away when the cup starts. The in-game timer will be reflecting your device's regional clock, but when you select the rest window period, it will be in JST. So make sure you select the JST rest window period that accurately reflects your preferred timing. For example, 0 to 600 UTC will be 900 to 1500 JST. So, using that scale in mind, adjust the timer accordingly. Generally, I'd recommend, say if you're just running on a normal schedule, that you would set, say, your midnight to 6 a.m. as your rest period. Or you can adjust it depending on, say, if you work at night, you know you have that free time, you can change it to be when you sleep from getting home from work. Whatever works for you, really. Now, some recommended produce items. As suggested earlier, it's highly recommended to bring along a notepad to go about picking the best commu choices for your run. Items that increase your support bonds also help out in gaining more stats from lessons and triggering support events more often, such as the 283 keychain, the towel, and the t-shirt. Now, I wouldn't worry about these items too much, but if you're not confident in clearing auditions, especially in Season 4, magazines are fantastic for this. You force the trend to be a specific top trend that you want, so vocal forces vocal first, dance first, visual first. So if you find yourself in a pinch and you need to have that adjustment, then having the magazine is very good. Just like what we talked about with EX skills, you'll be doing a lot more auditions than lessons during your run. So the textbooks that boost your vocal, dance, or visual immediately will help you start off the run just right. Lastly, for P-Cup events with special auditions, you can consider bringing in affection-related items such as the message cards, morning toast, or the promise perfumes. We'll talk about the special auditions a little bit later. First, we have to talk about affection levels and the morning commune. Let's talk about that. So first of all, your idol needs the minimum of 1 affection point, so at least 1 successful morning commune to hit memory level 1. A perfect communication raises the affection gated by 3 points, good by 1, and normal gives 0. Fulfilling a promise will give you 10 points, and there's an extremely small chance that you can get an instant max affection event from increasing affection in any way. Your idol starts off with 5 available morning commune scenarios at affection level 0. And at level 2 and level 3, you unlock an additional 5, meaning you have up to 15 possible morning communes throughout a run. The memory appeal can be a strategic tool depending on how you use it, especially from level 3 onwards because of how strong it gets with additional effects. They can be used to snipe last appeals from rivals, or just enough damage to secure that top appeal with another judge. For more advanced and speed-focused wing runs, you can opt to stay at affection level 1, just to stay away from more morning communes and promises in order to slice away the extra time these events take out of your runs. Otherwise, you can choose to sneak them in as you can in order to help give yourself that little extra edge during the performances. Scoring appeals. When your idol's mental drops between 51 to 71% or 16 to 51%, the white perfect gauge in the appeal meter can be way too thin and really tricky for you to score with. So it would be wiser at times to score in the orange or yellow good gauge instead. Now, if you've already secured top appeal and you just need the auditions to wrap up and be over with so you can get to the next one, then you can just hit normal, assuming that, again, you already know that you've done enough damage to pass the performance. Speeds things up just a little bit. Now, bookmarking. Bookmarking certain URL pages in Shiny can be helpful for you to navigate during the ranking event, which will save you some time. Some of the recommendeds include the home page, the produce page, the work activity page, or the ranking board itself. Now, the ranking board page will change every time we have a new Producer's Cup, so make sure to bookmark it accordingly. So if you want to speed up the process of getting to certain parts of the run, saving these will be very helpful. However, as of October 12th of 2021, there's a new regulation in Produce Mode. If the player is detected by the game server to be spamming the page refresh or accessing certain URLs we're not supposed to, normally not accessible in-game, or just mostly going through menus way too quickly, a soft lock on the Produce Mode will happen, and it'll be in place for 5 minutes, and you won't be able to play any Produce Mode during that soft lock. So be very careful about trying to create any sort of loopholes or some weird restriction situation with the web pages. Otherwise, you may end up messing up the flow entirely. So just play it safe. Now let's talk about some routes. First off, we have the photo shoot route, which is very easy D-rank at Season 2. This route is pretty self-explanatory. You spam photo shoots until the end of Season 2 to hit 10,000 fans and D-rank quick and easy. Because photo shoots give you a small amount of visual every time, this route is really helpful for visual or dance visual mixed builds. Below are some of the support idols with photo shoot masteries that you can consider for the photo shoot route, including Tenka, Chiyuki, and her SR counterpart as well. Next up, the unit mastery route. If you're going with a single stat build, or simply don't prefer the meager stats you get from just doing photo shoots, and you want to be more prepared for the tougher auditions in Season 3 and 4, then you might want to come up with a build that runs a lot of unit masteries. With enough RNG and the right amount of unit mastery, you'll be able to gain a large amount of SP and stats within the first 2 seasons, especially for 5-member units, so Okura and Antika. That said, you won't be able to acquire enough fans unlike the photo shoot route, so so it'll be absolutely essential for your idol to pass the Ichiban audition in Season 2 in order to meet that 10,000 fan requirement to reach D rank. Next we have the talk show route, with specifically Flower Stand Meguru, or Haneemi Meguru. Another popular route to tackle the first 2 seasons of Wing during Producers Cup revolves around spamming talk events to gain huge amounts of SP during the first 2 seasons. Flower Stand Meguru support skills include Talk Mastery Stamina, which reduces the stamina required for talk events significantly, which allows you to spam the events similar to photo shoots. This build might require you to clear an audition in Season 2 if you can't manage to level up the room to 4 or 5, but it should get you through the first season with no trouble, and potentially through the second as long as things go well. The number 1 placing Kiriko producer for the 3.5 anniversary took this strategy to heart, building a team that focused around this, and it worked out super well for them, as you can tell. You don't become top rank for nothing. I'll have a link to their blog on things for that as well. Next up, Elibest, the special edition of Season 2. Remember how I was talking about special auditions? This is the one you want to pay attention to. During some Producers Cups, they'll open up special auditions that you can take on during Wing. Every season, 1 through 4, has 1 special audition, and each of them has a special requirement that you have to meet before you can attempt it, which can only be attempted during the last week of the season. Of the 4 special auditions, the most important one for Producers Cup is Elibest, and that happens at the end of Season 2, and it requires you to have a memory level of 2 or higher. If you clear it, you are rewarded with 100,000 fans, which will instantly bring you to B rank at the end of Season 2, which will allow you to reach S rank 1 week earlier in Season 4, which can potentially bring you up to 2.6 million fans in the run. Elibest can be a little difficult, but if you understand the flowchart with it, it is a huge boon to speeding up your produce runs and making them just a little bit more efficient. Now, the reporter event. Now, occasionally during your produce runs, you'll encounter the reporter event, which starts off with a laptop showing up. You'll be prompted by the reporter's email on which section you should be interviewed on with your idol, which is either their lessons, their private life, or their work. Or you can simply choose to reject the interview entirely. Now, ideally, if the reporter event pops up during Season 1 or early in Season 2, you should try to take up the offer on the work interview, the rightmost option. Getting the good reporter for the work interview will net you 100,000 fans, which will let you reach A rank much earlier, and start tackling Utahime 1 week earlier, again, getting that 2.6 million fans. In theory, combining this alongside the Elibest could push you up to around 2.7 million, so again, it's a great option to consider. On the other hand, however, failing the work interview will reduce the fan count that you gain by 30% for 3 weeks. So it's not a good idea to consider this because that reduction can kill the run, especially in Season 3 and 4. It'll get real bad. So if it's really late in the game, don't worry about it. But if it's early, just give it a shot, since in the first 2 seasons you won't be auditioning that much anyway. Now, the auto function. How do you use it? Simply put, don't. Please do not bother with the auto mode. However, if you have secured a top appeal from the first judge, feel free to use it for your short breaks. You can use it to get some water, use the bathroom, grab a snack, however it works out for you. The way the AI works for the auto function is that it will assign appeals from perfect to normal depending on the mental percentage of your idol. So at high health, it'll almost always aim for perfect. If it gets a little low, it'll aim for good. And if you're below 70%, it pretty much always hits normal. It'll also try to prioritize whichever appeals have the most damage associated with them. And the tricky part is that excellent appeals have a problem. If you're using supports that have excellent appeals, the AI don't know who to target with it, so they may grab it, but then hit a completely wrong judge and screws everything up. So overall, don't worry about it. Try not to use it at all, especially in Season 4, if you want to clear Nanairo and Utahime smoothly. Otherwise, things are going to get real bad. So just don't worry about it. Now, we're into some miscellaneous things. During the Producers Cup, you're going to be building up a lot of FES units in your box. The capacity you can carry is 400, so at some point during the run, you will have to sell off a bunch of your Produce cards in order to make space. Now, while the Producers Cup is happening and while you're participating in it, you may find yourself getting burnt out or bored. So certainly you can entertain yourself while you're ranking. Can't just focus on the game the whole time. So, consider putting on your favorite music playlist, maybe put on a podcast or two, or watch some shows while you play. Find something to keep yourself focused on the game, but something that will, keep you attentive and do whatever. As long as you're feeling good, then it should be okay. You might also want to consider picking up some sleeping techniques as well, especially if you're one that has trouble with this. So you might be wondering, how exactly do you sleep well and wake up early with that 6-hour rest window? Well, concepts like level 2 sleep, as well as the military method sleep, are pretty useful for stuff like this. So I'd recommend Googling that if you're really curious as to find out more about that. Now, personally speaking, I haven't really done any of this stuff, but it's totally fine to do so. I mean, I've certainly watched things while I'm doing Producer's Cup. I've listened to music. I don't know necessarily about the sleeping, but I also have never really hit the rankings that hard. But if that's your thing, by all means. Also, during the Producer's Cup, storing a run. This one is very useful. So, either you know that a Producer's Cup is going to happen the next day, or you know when your rest period is happening. While you're resting, your fan count doesn't increase. However, you can stock a produce run either before the Producer's Cup starts or right before your rest window ends. And you just make sure to finish the actual performance or whatever. You finish the run for real once that rest time is over, or once the Producer's Cup actually starts. That way, you get an immediate jump to your numbers once the gates are open again. So it's a pretty good use of your time to just hang on to those if you're really serious about ranking. Now, during the Producer's Cup, skill panel clicking. Ideally, to save up time, you should be only accessing your skill panels once or twice every run. That's before you start clearing off auditions at the end of Season 2 or Season 3 till the end. If you have a touchscreen or some sort of iPad device, or want to know how to slice off seconds from clicking your skills, Zakula, one of the higher ranking, I believe, jury producers, has a wonderful video that shows how they do it. And I'll have a link again to that in the description. Now, during the Producer's Cup, there's also something that you can keep an eye on, which are the fun rankings. This happens especially with characters like Mitsumine because of Mitsu. So you'll see a lot of rankings that have as many 3s as they can sneak in there. Sometimes you may see people that pick a bunch of 4s or maybe some 8s. Sometimes you see people go for, say, like 283 million, something like that. So you may see those come up and you wonder, how exactly do you get your numbers like that? So by doing calculations, you will be able to work out how many fans you're away from to that desired count. A level 1 room of every lesson will get you 32 fans. Radio and talk shows at level 1 get you 158 fans, while photo shoots are 263 fans, and all auditions have their amounts fixed. So you start off every run with 1 fan, which is you, the producer. So you can take all of that into account to figure out exactly what math you need to do to make those fun numbers. Now, do give yourself about an hour to decorate your fan count digit, especially once you're getting the end of Producer's Cup as a whole, so that way you don't run out of time and mess things up. So if you're aiming for a real fun number, definitely consider thinking about stuff like that. Some final notes here. As you might have figured out already, ranking for the Producer's Cup can be really dedicated and straining, especially for those that are aiming for the top 100 or even higher than that. We can't assure that after viewing this video that you'll be able to rank competitively at the top 10s or even 100s. There are some really dedicated producers out there. However, with the right amount of preparation, knowledge, and practice, you should be able to handle the top 1000s of any idols of your choosing after watching this. The most important thing during a ranking event is that you enjoy the process as much as you can and do the very best for your idols no matter the end result. Do what you can, not what you have to force yourself to do necessarily. Just do everything that's in your limits and don't hurt yourself in the process. Now, this guide is written in collaboration with Justice Red of the Shiny Colors Discord. He managed to place 8th place for Kaho, which is a relatively competitive border during the 3.5 anniversary, and has almost always placed in the top 100 if I recall correctly. So they know their stuff, and they were a huge reason that this video even happened. In fact, 95% of this guide was written by Justice Red. So thank them for putting this together, and asking me to record it to bring to you. So thank you so much for watching the video. Take this new knowledge and do your best. I've been Cho. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day.